Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating story straight from the high-stakes, high-hazard world of electric utility troubleshooting. We're going to look at how a freezing, totally grueling night of heavy labor transformed, literally in a single microsecond, into this incredible moment of holiday magic. It's a great look at the hidden rewards of keeping the lights on.
So I want you to start by painting a cinematic overhead picture in your mind. We are up in the northern suburbs of Chicago. It's a freezing evening just a week or two before Christmas. If you were looking down from above, you'd see this massive, stark contrast. On the right side, you've got the surrounding neighborhoods, vibrant, glowing, brightly lit with thousands of festive holiday displays, street lamps, and warm porch lights. But right in the middle of all that cheer, on the left side, sits this huge void. We're talking a neighborhood of roughly 100 homes that are completely, totally, and utterly pitch black. The underground cable serving this entire section has failed, and that contrast between the warm, lit surroundings and this dark suburban island, it immediately sets the stakes for the whole evening.
And to make the atmosphere even more intense, there's a really specific environmental detail we need to note here. 1/8. Exactly 1/8 of an inch of fresh, pristine, completely undisturbed snow has just fallen. It's blanketing the dark lawns, the driveways, the rooftops. There's no wind blowing at all, no cars driving around. It is a moment of absolute dead silence in this freezing, pitch-black neighborhood. That thin layer of pure white snow is just sitting there, completely untouched in the dark.
Okay, let's dive into this. Right into this silent, freezing, dark neighborhood arrive two utility troubleshooters, and their mission is grounded in a very gritty reality. They have to hunt down a hidden underground cable fault. The power isn't out because a tree branch fell on an overhead wire that you can just easily spot from the street. No, this failure is buried somewhere in the frozen earth, snaking through the backyards of these 100 homes. So it's going to be a long, physical, and highly meticulous hunt to find exactly where the system broke down.
Because chasing an underground fault, it's definitely not a guessing game. It is a strictly factual, methodical diagnostic process. These troubleshooters have to follow a very specific logic. Step 1. Isolate the failed cable section so it doesn't pose a danger to anybody. Step 2. Locate every single transformer on that specific underground loop to pinpoint the exact point of failure. And Step 3, they have to test the equipment and hang administrative safety tags, what's known as lockout/tagout, to make absolutely sure the system is safe and de-energized before they can even think about restoring power. It's a real step-by-step grind that takes absolute precision in the dark.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly what these troubleshooters are actually searching for out there in the pitch black. They are hunting for pad-mounted transformers. And you've probably walked past a million of these things without even noticing them. They're those 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot, dark green, heavy steel utility boxes sitting on the ground. In this particular neighborhood, there's one located roughly every 8 to 10 homes, usually sitting right on the rear lot lines in people's backyards. Inside those boxes are the 12,000-volt high-voltage connections they absolutely have to access, test, and switch.
But finding a dark green box in a dark backyard at night is, well, hard enough on its own. The reality of this job, though, includes a very specific set of obstacles. Homeowners often don't love the look of these green utility boxes, so they hide them. The troubleshooters frequently have to hunt for these transformers behind really dense, thorny bushes, behind backyard sheds, tucked under children's playground equipment, or even concealed underneath hollow, fake wooden wishing wells. And look, I'm not saying this to sound whiny or to complain. It's simply the objective, factual reality of the process. There are absolutely no shortcuts. You literally have to physically find the box, clear the obstacle, and get to those heavy steel doors to do the work. So the two troubleshooters kick off the involved grind of manually checking this entire 8 to 10 transformer loop. I mean, imagine the physical reality of this for a second. They are dragging heavy gear, trudging through freezing mud and that thin layer of snow, weaving through dark backyards, opening steel boxes, and testing high-voltage cables. It is an incredibly claustrophobic, ground-level narrative. Notice that there are absolutely no overhead power lines in this environment yet. You are completely disconnected from the sky, focused entirely on just grinding through the dark, frozen earth, moving from one hidden green box to the next until that fault is finally located. And after hours of this freezing, methodical hunt, they find it. They successfully isolate the failed section of the underground cable. They run through their safety protocols, apply their administrative lockout tags, and secure the heavy steel doors of the transformers. The physical labor of the diagnosis is finally complete. The gear is packed up and cleared away, and the troubleshooters step out of the backyards and back onto the quiet, dark suburban street.
With the underground fault safely isolated, it's finally time to bring the system back online. The partner in our story, a troubleshooter named Vinny, walks out of the neighborhood and heads up to the main road. And this is a really crucial geographical shift. This is the exact point where the buried underground residential system finally meets the overhead power lines out on the main street. Vinny gets into position at the utility pole, getting ready to close the heavy, high-voltage fuse that feeds the entire neighborhood.
Now let's move to and see how this builds, because the pacing right here is everything. The narrator is standing entirely alone in the middle of the suburban street. It is still pitch black. It is freezing cold, and it is entirely, completely silent. Not a breath of wind, just that perfect untouched 1/8 inch of snow resting on the lawns and the dark rooftops. He gets on the radio and gives Vinny the all-clear to throw the switch. Out on the main road, Vinny uses his fiberglass stick to slam that heavy fuse closed, and the sound just shatters the quiet night. Zap! Clunk! Boom! It is this massive, sudden, sensory climax of mechanical energy just echoing through the frozen air.
And in exactly 1 microsecond, the void is gone. 3 entire blocks of pitch-black homes instantly ignite. But it isn't just normal streetlights coming back on. Because it's just before the holidays, the neighborhood bursts to life with literally thousands of Christmas decorations. Porch lamps, glowing windows, living room trees, and massive festive light displays all snap on at the exact same fraction of a second. The entire community is instantly pulled out of the dark and brought right back to life.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real magic of this story. Because remember that pristine, undisturbed 1/8 inch of pure white snow? It acts like a giant mirror. The sudden explosion of festive holiday colors refracts beautifully off that untouched snow blanketing the ground and the roofs. A night that was totally defined by freezing mud, claustrophobic darkness, and tedious hazard is completely, instantly transformed into the spectacularly glowing, reflective winter wonderland.
So the crucial point is this. High-hazard, heavily procedural jobs, much like a lot of our own daily routines, honestly, are often cold, tedious, and thankless. You spend hours fighting through the metaphorical, or in this case, literal, thorny bushes in the dark. But if you execute your process and you stick to the grind, there are these rare, incredible moments where you get to step back and see the immediate massive impact of your work. It's really about finding that small bit of sublime joy and humanity hidden right there in the middle of the day-to-day grind.
Which brings us to you. Look, we all have our own version of walking through the freezing mud, doing that tedious work that no one really sees. But we also have those rare moments where the switch flips, the lights come on, and we realize exactly why the effort was worth it. I really want to hear about yours. Drop down into the comments and tell us, what is your most rewarding instant illumination moment in your own life or career? Share your story below, and I'll see you in the next explainer.